A man will love you without any obvious reason, and that is exactly why. Not because you are flawless, not because you perform correctly, not because you fit neatly into an image he has built in his mind. He loves you because something in you speaks to something buried deep within him, something older than logic, older than explanation, older than language itself. This kind of love does not arrive with a list of demands. It does not come carrying conditions or contracts. It emerges quietly, often confusingly, as if the soul recognizes a familiar pattern before the mind can catch up. Such love is not born from conscious choice. It rises from the unconscious, from the hidden chambers where memories, longings, wounds, and forgotten hopes reside. A man may not understand why your presence calms him or unsettles him at the same time. He may not be able to name what it is about your voice, your silence, your way of seeing the world that pulls him closer. Yet the pull is undeniable. It is the psyche responding to something it has been seeking long before it knew how to search. When love has no obvious reason, it often means you have touched a symbol within him. You represent something his inner world has been circling for years. Perhaps you mirror a lost sense of innocence, or embody a strength he has never fully claimed in himself. Perhaps you awaken a part of him that has been asleep, neglected, or suppressed. He does not love you for what you do, but for what you evoke. You become a doorway to his own inner transformation. This is why such love can feel irrational. The rational mind wants justification. It wants evidence, traits, measurable qualities, but the soul does not operate on spreadsheets. The soul recognizes resonance. It recognizes truth in feeling, not in explanation. When a man loves you without reason, it is because the love is not happening in his thoughts, but in the deeper strata of his being. It is happening where masks fall away and defenses grow. Quiet. In this kind of love, you are not required to perform. You are not loved because you fulfill a role, but because you are. Your existence alone carries meaning. This can feel unsettling, especially in a world that teaches love must be earned, negotiated, or maintained through effort. Yet this love persists even in silence, even in distance, even in imperfection. It survives because it is rooted in something archetypal, something timeless. Often, this love reveals itself through small, almost unconscious gestures. The way he listens more closely when you speak. The way your presence anchors him when his inner world feels chaotic. The way he feels seen without being examined. He may not say much about it because words feel insufficient. How do you explain that someone feels like home when you never knew you were homeless? This also carries a shadow, because when you touch the depths of a man's psyche, you stir not only his light, but his unresolved conflicts. Loving without reason can expose fear, vulnerability, and a loss of control. He may resist it at times, retreat from it, or question it, not because the love is weak, but because it is powerful enough to challenge the structures he has built to protect himself. Yet even in resistance, the connection remains. The unconscious does not easily release what it has recognized as meaningful. This is why such love lingers. It does not fade quickly. It does not vanish when circumstances change. It stays, quietly shaping his inner world, influencing his growth, his choices, his understanding of himself. To be loved without reason is to be seen beyond surface identity. It is to be encountered as a symbol, a mirror, a catalyst. You become part of another person's inner story, not as a character chosen by logic, but as a figure summoned by the soul. And that is exactly why this love matters, because it is not trying to possess you or explain you. It simply acknowledges something essential and responds with devotion that does not need justification. When a man loves you without any obvious reason, it is because something in him knows that this connection is not about convenience or comfort. It is about truth, and truth, when it appears, rarely explains itself. True love often arises from the unconscious, beyond logic or explanation, and when we speak of love in this way, we are speaking of a force that is ancient, mysterious, and profound. It is not the love that comes with conditions, agreements, or calculated choices. It does not arrive because someone is impressive, charming, or socially desirable. This love operates on a deeper level, one that is hidden from the rational mind, one that moves silently beneath the surface of conscious thought. It emerges from places in the psyche where memory, instinct, longing, and archetypal patterns converge. It is a love that cannot be summoned at will, a love that does not ask for permission, a love that quietly exists even before it is recognized or named. In many ways, it is a reflection of the human soul's eternal search for wholeness, a search that transcends the mundane and the measurable, a search that defies simple reasoning. It is a connection that often surprises the mind because it does not follow conventional rule, because it is not bound by societal expectations, because it does not require explanation. It is a love that exists in the silent spaces between words, in the pauses between gestures, in the glances that say more than language ever could. When it manifests, it carries with it a sense of inevitability, as if the soul has recognized something it has long been seeking, something it knew before it even knew it was looking. It is a love that grows quietly, often unnoticed, emerging gradually as the unconscious recognizes resonance, harmony, and familiarity in another being. This resonance is not about surface appearances, it is not about achievement, status, or outward charm. It is about something far deeper, something essential, something that touches the foundations of the psyche itself. When a man experiences this kind of love, he may not be able to articulate why he feels it, and often he cannot. He may search for reasons, rational explanations, or justifications, but they will not be found in the usual places. The cause of this love lies in the hidden chambers of the mind, in the symbolic language of the unconscious, in the archetypal forms that shape human desire and attraction. It is a love that knows no logic because it is not born from conscious choice. It is spontaneous, instinctual, and mysterious, moving along channels of the psyche that defy reason. It can appear suddenly without warning, or it can grow slowly like a seed germinate beneath the soil, unnoticed by the conscious self until it reaches the surface. This type of love can also be unsettling because it is so unlike the conditioned love that people are accustomed to. Conditioned love comes with rules, expectations, and measurable outcomes. It is predictable, controllable, and often tied to external circumstances. Love arising from the unconscious, however, is unpredictable. It is spontaneous, uncontainable, and sometimes even incomprehensible to the one who experiences it. It challenges the mind to accept what it cannot fully understand. It stirs emotions and sensations that may seem irrational, but the irrational currents are precisely the proof of its authenticity. Such love is rooted in the totality of the human experience. It is informed by past experiences, by ancestral memories, by the collective unconscious that shapes our deepest longings and desires. It is a love that can awaken dormant parts of the self, that can bring to light aspects of the personality that have been hidden, suppressed, or forgotten. It has the power to transform the individual because it does not simply settle on the surface. It penetrates to the depths of the soul. In its presence, the boundaries between self, other can become porous, and one may feel a sense of profound unity or recognition, a feeling that one has encountered a mirror of something essential within oneself. This is why love from the unconscious can feel predestined or fated. It is as though the psyche itself has orchestrated a meeting of elements, a convergence of energies that defies casual explanation. It can be experienced as both exhilarating and terrifying, as it exposes the individual to raw emotion, vulnerability, and a level of intimacy that is seldom reached through conventional forms of attraction. The unconscious speaks in symbols, images, and emotional truths, not in rational arguments or syllogisms. Love that arises from this realm often comes without explanation because it does not originate in the conscious mind, which seeks clarity, justification, and comprehension. Instead, it originates in a domain that understands connection in ways that defy logic, that perceives the essence of another being without needing to catalogue or analyze it. When a man experiences this kind of love, he may find himself drawn to someone without knowing why, compelled to be present, to witness, and to care, even in the absence of apparent reason. The attraction may not make sense, the timing may be inconvenient, the circumstances may seem illogical, yet the pull remains. It is a silent insistence of the psyche, an echo of deeper truths, a call from the inner self that cannot be ignored. This love can also reveal the inner life of the one who experiences it, for when one is drawn into such a profound connection, the unconscious begins to communicate through dreams, reflections, and emotional responses. It invites introspection, self-awareness, and personal growth. The experience of loving without reason challenges habitual thought patterns, dismantles the need for control, and encourages openness to mystery. It teaches patience, presence, and the acceptance of uncertainty. In its quiet persistence, it carries a message that not all meaningful experiences require explanation, that not all attraction can be rationalized, and that some connections exist simply because they are necessary for the unfolding of the inner life. It is a reminder that the human soul operates on layers far beneath the surface, that there is a depth to experience that cannot be measured, and that the most profound forms of love often emerge without a conscious agenda. It is a love that transcends the ego's calculations, the mind's judgment, and the societal structures that seek to define, limit, or quantify it. It is a love that is free, elemental, and enduring, moving in rhythms that the conscious self can only attempt to observe, appreciate, and surrender to. It is, in essence, a call from the deepest parts of the human spirit, a recognition that life, connection, love are not always matters of logic, but of resonance, alignment, and the hidden workings of the inner world. This love is patient and persistent, appearing in gestures, silences, and moments of shared presence that communicate far more than words ever could. It asks nothing in return, seeks no justification, and yet leaves an indelible mark on both hearts, shaping experiences, choices, and the unfolding of the individual's inner narrative. It is a love that exists beyond time, beyond explanation, and beyond the rational mind, arising quietly from the unconscious and quietly guiding life toward the profound truths that lie hidden in the depths of being. A man loves without reason because you awaken something deep within his psyche, something that lies beyond the surface of his awareness, something that cannot be explained by logic or circumstance. This kind of love does not emerge from calculation, from convenience, or from the expectation of reward. It arises spontaneously, as if the soul itself recognizes a resonance that the conscious mind cannot fully articulate. It is as though there is an invisible thread connecting one heart to another, a thread woven from instinct, memory, and an understanding that precedes words. When a man experiences this, he may feel drawn towards someone in ways that seem inexplicable, compelling him to care, to notice, and to remain present even in the absence of rational motivation. He may be unable to explain why her presence feels vital, why her absence is keenly felt, or why her voice, laughter, or even silence stirs something profound within him. This kind of love touches the unconscious, activating archetypal patterns that lie dormant, until they are awakened by something that mirrors a hidden part of the self. It is not about the external qualities that can be measured, praised, or critiqued. It is about the way someone exists in the world and the way that existence resonates with the deepest structures of another person's inner life. The man may not consciously recognize the source of his attraction, nor may he understand why he feels compelled to protect, honor, or simply witness her. His love is rooted in a recognition that goes beyond comprehension, a recognition of a shared humanity, a mirrored longing, or a call to something essential within himself that he may have forgotten, or never fully known. Often, this love is accompanied by a sense of inevitability, a feeling that he has been drawn to her for reasons he cannot name, as if fate or the unconscious itself has orchestrated the encounter. This is why he may persist in his affection even when circumstances are inconvenient or challenges arise. The force driving him is not superficial desire, fleeting attraction, or the need for validation. It is something far deeper, originating in a part of the mind and heart that is attuned to truth rather than appearance, to essence rather than performance. In loving without reason, a man encounters both the beauty and the complexity of his own inner world. He is reminded that love is not merely a social contract, a transactional experience, or a reflection of mutual benefit. It is a phenomenon that transcends understanding, an encounter with something elemental in human existence. He may find himself experiencing emotions that are difficult to articulate: longing, reverence, awe, and even fear. This fear often arises not from external threats, but from the recognition that such love exposes him to vulnerability, to the rawness of feeling, and to the uncertainty of engaging with someone so deeply connected to his inner life. Love that has no reason challenges the structures of the ego. It reminds him that the conscious self does not hold all the answers, and that the mind's desire for explanation cannot contain the vastness of human emotion. In the presence of such love, he may notice patterns, symbols, or behaviors in her that awaken memories, hopes, or wounds within himself. He may see qualities in her that he longs to cultivate in himself, aspects of courage, compassion, or authenticity that speak to the man he aspires to become. In this sense, the love without reason is not only directed outward but also inward, a mirror reflecting his own depths and possibilities. This love is also patient and persistent. It does not rely on immediate gratification, reciprocal gestures, or tangible rewards. It thrives quietly, often manifesting in attentiveness, subtle care, and unwavering presence. He may act without expectation, give without condition, and remain steadfast, even when the object of his affection is unaware of the depth of his feeling. Such love is transformative because it carries the potential to awaken both the lover and the beloved to dimensions of existence that are otherwise overlooked. When a man loves without reason, he participates in a process of mutual growth and recognition. He engages with the other person in a way that transcends superficiality, touching the unconscious, the symbolic, and the archetypal. He may recognize in her a guide, a teacher, or a mirror that helps him navigate his own inner landscape. At times, this love is accompanied by tension or discomfort because it bypasses ordinary patterns of control and predictability. The man may feel compelled to act, to express, or to connect, yet may also struggle with the mystery and uncertainty inherent in loving without reason. He may ask himself why he is drawn to her, why her presence stirs him so profoundly, and why the feelings persist even in the absence of clear explanation. The answers elude him, for they exist beyond the rational mind in the layers of the psyche where instinct, memory, and archetypal truth reside. In this process, he begins to understand that the essence of love is not to explain or to justify, but to encounter and to acknowledge. He learns that meaning is not always external, but often internal, residing in the awakening of the heart and the deepening of self-awareness. Such love encourages introspection, reflection, and humility. It teaches him that connection is not always about action or outcome, but about recognition, presence, and attunement. It reveals that the human heart is capable of depths that the intellect alone cannot navigate. Over time, this love shapes his perceptions, his choices, and the way he engages with the world. He may notice a heightened sensitivity to emotion, an openness to vulnerability, and a capacity for empathy that he had not previously recognized in himself. He begins to understand that love without reason is not a weakness, nor is it merely a romantic ideal. It is a vital expression of the human capacity to connect, to recognize, and to respond to the essential truths within another person. He may find that the moments of greatest clarity, peace, or fulfillment arise not from control or understanding, but from surrender to this inexplicable connection. In this way, the love that has no reason is also a form of guidance, directing him toward experience, relationships, and self-discoveries that resonate with the deeper currents of life. It is a reminder that the psyche operates on multiple levels, that the conscious mind is only a fraction of experience, and that the most profound connections often bypass logic, calculation, and explanation. Through this lens, he learns that loving without reason is not only natural but necessary. It affirms that there is a dimension of human experience that thrives beyond the measurable, the visible, and the explainable. It nurtures a sense of wonder, reverence, and gratitude for the mystery of the human heart, and it provides a foundation for a form of intimacy that is rooted in essence rather than performance, in recognition rather than obligation, and in depth rather than superficiality. When a man loves without reason, he becomes attuned to these truths, experiencing life not solely as a sequence of events or transactions, but as a web of subtle, unseen connections that shape the psyche and the soul. This awakening transforms his approach to relationships, intimacy, and self-understanding, allowing him to inhabit a space where love is felt deeply, authentically, and without the need for justification. He learns that the reasons he seeks are less important than the recognition he feels, that the explanations he desires are secondary to the resonance that moves him, and that the power of love lies precisely in its ability to transcend understanding, while guiding him toward profound engagement with life, emotion, and the essence of being. It is through this process that he discovers the beauty, mystery, and transformative power of loving without reason, and how such love becomes an integral part of his own inner evolution, shaping not only how he relates to others, but also how he comes to understand himself, his desires, and the unseen currents that influence every aspect of his inner and outer life. This love sees and values your being, not your actions or accomplishments, and it does so with a quiet, unwavering intensity that cannot be earned, measured, or calculated. It is a recognition that arises from something far deeper than the external world, something embedded in the layers of the psyche that perceive essence rather than surface. When a man loves in this way, he does not focus on what you do, what you achieve, or how well you conform to expectation. His attention is drawn to the fundamental reality of your existence, the quality of your inner life, the rhythms of your being, and the subtleties of your presence. It is a love that perceives the unspoken, the unseen, the nuanced ways in which you inhabit the world, and it responds to these with devotion, respect, and acknowledgement. He notices the small details that others might overlook, the quiet gestures, the way you carry yourself, the tone of your voice, the spaces between your words, the pauses, the silences, the unarticulated emotions that flicker across your expression. In this, he is attuned not to performance but to presence, not to the outwardly impressive but to the inwardly authentic. This kind of love is not transactional. It does not ask for proof of worth, evidence of competence, or demonstration of skill. It is not concerned with accomplishments, accolades, or social recognition. Instead, it is concerned with the living reality of who you are at your core, the essence that persists beyond the ebb and flow of circumstances, the qualities that remain even when life's external conditions shift. It is a love that sees you in your entirety, including your shadows, contradictions, and vulnerabilities, and accepts them without judgment. When a man loves in this manner, he does not seek to change you or mold you into someone more suitable to his desires. He does not evaluate you through a lens of utility or benefit. Instead, he observes and appreciates the complex patterns of your psyche, the way your inner world expresses itself, the moments of authenticity that emerge without conscious effort. He perceives your individuality as a reflection of something essential, a manifestation of unique qualities that resonate with the deeper currents within himself. This love is transformative not because it imposes change, but because it creates space for self-recognition and growth. When someone is valued for their being rather than their doing, they are invited into a relationship with themselves that is freer, more accepting, and more expansive. They are able to witness themselves through the lens of another's recognition, to see aspects of their essence that might otherwise remain hidden or unacknowledged. The man's love, in this sense, functions as a mirror, reflecting the authenticity of your being and validating the worth inherent in your existence. This recognition is not dependent on circumstance, success, or performance. It persists even when you falter, when you stumble, or when you face the inevitable imperfections of life. It is a love that remains steadfast because it is anchored in the unconscious, in the archetypal patterns that shape human connection, in the recognition of essential qualities that transcend the superficial and the temporal. In observing and valuing your being, he perceives the interplay of light and shadow within you. He sees the strength and the fragility, the courage and the fear, the clarity and the confusion. He responds with empathy, patience, and a willingness to be present in the fullness of your reality. This presence is not passive. It is active in its attentiveness, active in its acknowledgement, and active in the way it allows space for your existence to unfold without interference or coercion. The love that values being overdoing is subtle, often quiet, and frequently misunderstood by those who expect love to be demonstrated through grand gestures, explicit declarations, or tangible results. It does not seek to impress, it does not require evidence, it simply observes, honors, and responds to the reality of who you are. In this, it carries a kind of depth that can be unsettling to those accustomed to transactional or conditional relationships. It challenges assumptions about what love is, what it demands, and what it requires in return. The man who loves in this way may feel drawn to your essence in ways that are inexplicable, compelled by a resonance that surpasses rational understanding. He may notice patterns in your behavior, nuances in your expression, or rhythms in your presence that awaken something within him, something that connects him to his own deeper self. This connection is mutual, in that it reflects a shared recognition of authenticity, yet it is not bound by expectation or obligation. It operates outside the rules of performance and reward, and it is sustained precisely because it does not rely on conditional structures to exist. Such love allows for a form of intimacy that is profound, subtle, and enduring. It fosters an environment in which both individuals are free to inhabit their own being fully, without pretense or performance. The recognition of being overdoing creates a space where vulnerability is not a weakness but a natural aspect of existence, where the complexities of personality are not problems to be solved but realities to be embraced. When a man loves you for your being, he also experiences a kind of awakening within himself. He becomes more attuned to subtleties, more sensitive to emotional nuance, and more capable of recognizing the depth of human experience. This love nurtures empathy, patience, and a capacity for reflection. It teaches that connection is less about what is produced and more about what is present, less about action and more about recognition, less about external validation and more about inner truth. In valuing your being, he also honors the interconnectedness of life, acknowledging that essence precedes appearance, depth precedes surface, and authenticity precedes performance. His love is a recognition of existence as a whole, an acknowledgement that the complexity, the imperfection, and the authenticity of a person are worthy of regard simply because they are real. It is a love that does not seek to alter or define, it seeks to witness and engage with reality as it is. In many ways, this kind of love is rare, because it requires a sensitivity to the unseen, a capacity to perceive beyond conventional markers of worth, and a willingness to respond to essence rather than externality. It is a love that thrives on presence, on attention, and on the ability to perceive and resonate with qualities that are intangible yet profoundly influential. It shapes relationships in ways that are subtle but transformative, creating connections rooted in understanding, acknowledgement, and the deep recognition of what it means to exist fully as oneself. This love cannot be forced or fabricated. It emerges naturally when the unconscious recognizes a correspondence, when resonance occurs between individuals in ways that are not dictated by logic, expectation, or circumstance. It is a love that celebrates authenticity, embraces imperfection, and affirms the intrinsic value of being overdoing. The man who loves in this way demonstrates patience, attentiveness, and a willingness to engage with the full spectrum of human experience, recognizing that the essence of a person is far more significant than any accomplishment, gesture, or role they may perform. In valuing your being, he participates in a form of connection that is profound, enduring, and transformative, and he does so not for reward, recognition, or convenience, but because the recognition of essence is a response to the fundamental truths of life and human existence, a recognition that carries with it the potential to deepen both understanding and connection in ways that transcend the superficial and embrace the enduring realities of the human spirit. Loving without reason can challenge, transform, and reveal both light and shadow because it bypasses the ordinary mechanisms of understanding and enters directly into the territory of the unconscious, where human experience is raw, elemental, and deeply symbolic. When a man loves without reason, he encounters not only the person he loves but also himself in ways that are profound, unsettling, and often illuminating. This form of love does not operate on the basis of convenience, logic, or social expectation. It emerges spontaneously, often unbidden, and brings with it a force that can shake the structures of the ego, confront buried fears, and awaken dormant aspects of the psyche. In this process, the man becomes aware of parts of himself that have been hidden, denied, or neglected. The love that has no apparent cause stirs emotions and perceptions that defy rational explanation, revealing truths about desire, attachment, vulnerability, and the capacity for intimacy that are otherwise inaccessible. It challenges the assumptions he may hold about control, predictability, and the mechanics of human relationships. He may find that his patterns of behavior, his habitual defenses, and his familiar ways of relating are inadequate when confronted with a love that cannot be measured, explained, or contained. In this sense, loving without reason acts as a mirror, reflecting not only the beloved but also the depths of the self, showing both the luminous qualities and the shadowed regions that exist within the psyche. The shadow emerges because love without reason exposes insecurities, unresolved wounds, and fears that have long been repressed. When one is drawn to another without clear justification, it can provoke anxiety, confusion, or resistance. As the mind struggles to reconcile the inexplicable with the need for rational understanding, this confrontation with the shadow is not negative, it is essential, for it creates the opportunity for growth, self-awareness, and transformation. By facing the parts of himself that are uncomfortable, unacknowledged, or hidden, the man begins to understand the complexity of his own interior world. The love that has no reason illuminates the interplay of light and shadow within the psyche, revealing both the capacity for profound connection and the vulnerabilities that accompany it. It challenges the ego to step aside, to surrender the illusion of control, and to allow the unconscious to guide perception, feeling, and response. In this way, the experience of loving without reason can be both destabilizing and liberating. It destabilizes by confronting assumptions, routines, and expectations. It liberates by opening awareness to the richness and depth of human experience beyond the confines of conscious calculation. Through this process, the man learns to tolerate ambiguity, embrace uncertainty, and appreciate the subtleties of emotional resonance that transcend logic. Love without reason also transforms because it demands authenticity. When a man is drawn to someone without clear cause, he is invited to bring his whole self into the encounter. Unmasked and unguarded, pretenses, defenses, and socially conditioned behaviors become insufficient. What matters is presence, attentiveness, and the capacity to engage with both the beloved and oneself honestly. This engagement cultivates courage, vulnerability, and the willingness to experience intimacy without the security of explanation or guarantee. Transformation occurs because the relationship becomes a site of learning, growth, and reflection. The man discovers new capacities within himself: patience, empathy, attentiveness, and depth of feeling that may have been dormant or unrecognized. He confronts fears of inadequacy, rejection, or exposure and learns to navigate them with increasing awareness and resilience. At the same time, love without reason illuminates the beloved in ways that transcend surface qualities. It sees beyond actions, appearances, and achievements to the essence of being. It recognizes the interconnectedness of both individuals' inner worlds and fosters a relational space where authenticity, understanding, and emotional truth are paramount. The transformative aspect of this love is inseparable from its capacity to reveal the shadow, because growth occurs in the tension between light and dark, known and unknown, conscious and unconscious. It teaches that love is not merely a pleasant or affirming experience, but a force capable of eliciting profound psychological and spiritual development. The challenges posed by this love are not external but internal. They arise from the recognition of vulnerability, the confrontation with unacknowledged desires, and the encounter with aspects of the self that are often avoided. By navigating these challenges, the man develops a deeper understanding of both the beloved and himself, cultivating awareness that extends beyond the relationship into all areas of life. In revealing both light and shadow, love without reason dismantles simplistic notions of affection and attraction. It shows that genuine connection involves complexity, contradiction, and paradox. It encourages a kind of seeing that goes beyond superficial judgment, fostering an appreciation for the entirety of another person, including qualities that may be uncomfortable, challenging, or unfamiliar. This process expands the capacity for empathy, tolerance, and insight, not only toward the beloved, but toward the broader spectrum of human experience. Moreover, love that challenges and transforms is a teacher in itself. It demonstrates that attachment is not only about desire or pleasure, but about engagement with the deeper currents of existence. It demands presence, self-reflection, and a willingness to embrace uncertainty. It reveals that the most profound forms of connection are often those that cannot be fully understood, controlled, or explained. Through this lens, love without reason becomes a catalyst for self-realization, helping the man to integrate fragmented parts of the psyche, reconcile contradictions, and deepen his understanding of the emotional, psychological, and spiritual dimensions of life. In navigating the shower, he learns humility, patience, and compassion. In encountering the light, he experiences awe, wonder, and reverence. Together, these experiences create a holistic understanding of human connection that transcends ordinary definitions of love, attraction, or attachment. The process of loving without reason also highlights the interplay between freedom and vulnerability. The absence of apparent justification liberates the man from expectations, yet it also exposes him to uncertainty and risk. This duality cultivates resilience, flexibility, and a heightened sensitivity to nuance, allowing him to respond to the beloved in ways that are attuned, genuine, and deeply felt. The transformative nature of this love is evident not only in the emotional and psychological realms, but also in the spiritual. It evokes a recognition of mystery, a sense of interconnectedness, and an awareness of forces that operate beyond conscious comprehension. The man comes to understand that some aspects of human experience cannot be reduced to explanation, and that surrendering to the unknown can be a source of profound insight and growth. Love without reason, therefore, functions as both mirror and catalyst. It reveals inner realities that are otherwise hidden, challenges established patterns, and opens pathways for development and transformation. It teaches that connection is not simply about mutual satisfaction or compatibility, but about engagement with the totality of the self and the other. It demonstrates that intimacy involves the willingness to confront both beauty and shadow, clarity and confusion, presence and absence. In revealing these dimensions, it cultivates wisdom, depth and maturity. The process is ongoing, unfolding over time through interaction, reflection and attentiveness. It is a love that shapes perception, decision-making and relational patterns, influencing the man's understanding of himself, others, and the world around him. By confronting the complexities and paradoxes of loving without reason, he becomes more attuned to the subtleties of emotional and psychological life, more capable of empathy, and more conscious of the interplay between conscious and unconscious forces. This love ultimately expands awareness, cultivates inner richness, and deepens the capacity to engage with both the beloved and life itself, fostering a form of connection that is enduring, transformative, and profoundly human.